Hi, welcome to another video. I'm Bia, I'm a Portuguese illustrator and full-time small business owner working from Portugal. If you follow my channel for a while, you know that maybe 2 years ago now, I started to do conventions. Beginning, it was super confusing. I'm now getting ready for London MCM, which is one of the biggest conventions that I do in Europe. And I thought I could film a video where I explain all my process from getting products ready, quantities, how I travel because I'm from Portugal. So most of the travel that I do, it has to be done by plane because I live on the corner of Europe. So yeah. Country, but to go anywhere, it's a pain. I'm going to be sharing my experiences, how I travel with my merch, and all of those things. So yeah, let's get into it. First things first, let's talk about merch. This can be a bit tricky to talk about, really. I've been chatting about this with some friends that also do conventions, and it's really hard to know which convention is going to work for you, even if you speak with other people that have done those same conventions. You're going to sell, the quantities you're going to sell are always going to be different, and I think even if someone says a convention was amazing or horrible, you never know how it's going to go for you because there's different audiences, there's different ways of setting up your booth that can call more attention to people, there's some products that call more attention to people, so I think it really depends. But what I always say to people that chat with me on Instagram that want to start conventions and all of that and want some advice, I always say that less is always better. And I know in a lot of these videos, a lot of people talk about bringing more than you think you're going to be needing because, you know, if a convention is busy, you're going to be selling more and all of that. Especially when you're starting out, I feel it's important to do less quantity. Several reasons. I've been selling online for a couple of years and the products that I sell online and the products that I sell on conventions totally different. Like socks, I rarely sell them online and it's one of the products that I sell the most in conventions. If you outsource your products or you do them yourself, you might end up with a lot of stock. You can keep doing conventions and those products might take a while to sell. I think it's always better to do less quantity than to end up with a lot of stock, and if things sold out, they sold out. Next time you'll do more and sell more of them. All the conventions are different and you might end up doing one convention one time where you sold a lot of one product and do the next convention and you sell zero of that type of product and you still end up with a lot of stock. Especially if you are starting out, I feel like it's really important to try out products first, see what sells and what not, and then do more stock accordingly to your experience. Second reason is you are starting out with conventions and markets and you don't even know if you are going to enjoy it. It's different from people to people. I enjoyed it, realized that I don't enjoy doing a lot of events per year. You might just enjoy online. So I feel like it's important to keep that in mind and not overdo it. Anyway, I'm going to tell you about quantities. One of the few items that I sell the most are sticker sheets and bookmarks. So these are the items that I take the most and they are like lightweight, so I can take more and not worry really about quantities. Sometimes I take everything that I have in stock, that might be 15 to 20 sticker sheets or bookmarks, but normally I go from 20 to 15. Every other products I try not to go over 10 because again, conventions do well for me, but they don't do like amazingly. So I don't end up selling like 20, 25, 50 of each piece. The item that I take the most is t-shirts, and that just because I have several designs and I have to bring a lot of sizes. So even if I just bring 2 or 3 of each size, that ends up always being like 100 and something t-shirts. And sometimes it can be a bit frustrating because the things that I took the most are the things that sell the less. It is what it is. You can never know. It's always kind of a guess. I always prefer to take less because most of the times I travel alone and I have to go with 2 big bags, but I'm going to mention that next. Let's talk about bags and travel. Okay, so this is one of the bags that I use. This convention, it's a little bit different than the others because my sister lives in London. So what I normally do is I leave some of the stock there. I have this one from American Tourister. For me, It's one of the best bags. I tried another ones. They are not reliable. The other one that I have, it's an American Tourister as well, and I've been using it for 7 years since I started to do small markets and all of that. Try to do the boxes and bags type of thing, but I feel like with these bags, it works a lot better. Your stock, it's going to be in place. It's not going to move. If you are one of those people that you need to leave stock on the bags, it's also a lot more secure, like overnight for overnight cons. Regarding the weight that I take, it really depends on the flights that I take. Like for example, tomorrow I'm going to be leaving with Ryanair, and Ryanair only has 20 kilo. I can get 10 extra kilos or a second 20 kilo bag. That's it. Some companies have 23 kilos. So it really depends, and if you are selling a lot of keychains and stuff like that, your merch is going to be a little bit more heavy. So I really advise you to maybe take a flight with 23 kilo bag, so it's more secure. But at least for some companies like EasyJet, and I'm talking about Europe because it's the only reality that I know, you can get extra kilos and it's not very expensive. What I do with bags is I have one bag with stock that I don't even touch when I'm setting up. Normally it's this one. I take my t-shirts in here, extra stock that I don't need, and all the other bag, it's going to be setting up stuff, my grids, the stock that I'm going to put on my stall, and all of that. For smaller items, I use a box to put them in here. Normally I put my pins in here, my socks, keychains, all of those small items that might get lost on the bag. I put them on the box so they don't get ruined. I tried plastic boxes, but to be honest, weight is very important when it comes to conventions for me, so I just use a cardboard box. Regarding the organization of t-shirts, I use all the leftover bags that I can find, and I divide them by size and by design as well, so it makes it easier to find them when people are looking for them. Normally this bag stays open during the convention and I can pick up the t-shirts from there, because t-shirts are one of the few items that I don't have on my display. People can just point at them and then ask me for the sizes. And there are several ways that you can display your items. I think it's really important to try out and see what works for you, because what might work for some people might not work for others. What I use right now, it's a self-service kind of thing. So I have most of my products in quantity on the table, and people can just pick them up and then they give it to me. I just put it on a little bag and I give it to them. A lot of artists use the display stuff where they have everything on display, but they only have one of each item. Normally each item has like a reference or a number, and then people can say, I want number 12, I want the sticker on number 20, and then artists on the back have all of their stock laid out and they pick up the things to give to people. I tried this way on my first convention, too, actually, I think, and I said, yeah, this doesn't work for me. It was way too confusing, and you have to have all of this prep to also organize your stock on the back. It's a lot, so I prefer to have my stock on a checkout kind of thing, but it really depends, and I advise you to maybe try both ways and see what works for you. It just makes it so much easier and so much faster to also check out people, which is really, really helpful, especially on busier conventions like MCM. Okay, I'm going to put all of this stock on the bag. I'll show you how I organize it, and then we're going to weigh it. Since I have most of the t-shirts there, I'm just going to take a few of new designs as well, and also some sweatshirts, because normally I don't have the space for them, so. I just try to have everything into individual bags that I reuse from other things to just make it easier and more organized. Okay, bag is packed, so let's go through all of it, even though this is not how I usually pack. In here, my banner that I'm going to use as a table cover, display stuff that I haven't taken in there. This is most of my products. I have keychains, lanyards, pins, stickers, bookmarks, everything on this fiddly box, but once I close the bag, everything stays in place and I don't have to worry. This is going to go like this. And it's also, I use it for display sticker sheets and bookmarks. And on this side, I have mostly t-shirts, sweatshirts, and socks. These are my essentials that I still need to put on the bag. So we have this little bag here. On this front pocket, I have all my little things to hang products and prices and all of that. Normally in here, I put my coins, and then in here I have like a pen and other bits, and I put my notes in here. And this always stays with me. I used to use Cashbox, but this is a lot safer. Then I always take these things. I'm going to show you how I use them once I set up, but normally I use them to put things on a back wall if I have one. And these big ones normally I use to hold my grids on my table so they don't fall when people like fall over or something like that. And tape, always. Scissors, always. And I started to use these things right here to hang prices. You're going to see how I use them as well. Of course, my towel, my tablecloth that I forgot on my last con because I took it home to wash, so I can't forget it this time. Okay, now I just need to pull this up and see how much it weighs. It weighs 23 kilos. I'm going to take the postcards and a few other things, and I'm going to take that on my carry-on. That's why I always try not to fly with Ryanair, because otherwise I could take everything inside of here because it fits. It's just the weight limit. Oh well, see you tomorrow at the airport. Hello, hello. Welcome to my crib, aka my makeshift room at my sister's. For the day, it was a very busy and tiring travel day. I think when it comes to international cons, you really have to count on that. It gets easier, especially when you do conventions more than once, because you already know where you have to go and all of that, but it's still very tiring. And this time I only brought one bag. Normally I have two. I'm just going to go watch some YouTube, and I'm going to take care of all of this, because I have no idea what I have in here. I have to see what I want to bring or not. Let's take care of that. Yeah, wish me luck. It's time for setup now. I'm ready for setup, and I wanted to talk a little bit about setting up and getting your badges. Normally, actually, the day of the mounting, it's the day that I get most anxious, especially if you are doing a convention for the first time. It can be very tricky to find the entrances. On top of that, you are like traveling with all your bags and stuff like that. And when you get to the convention spots, normally some conventions have badges like these ones. Other conventions only have like bracelets and stuff, but normally you have to go to a certain spot to pick them up. You need to give your name, your table number, and all of that. That's usually how it works, and then you need to find your table, which is some big cons can be a bit tricky because everything is just so big and busy. I got here, I found my table, and then I went to grab something to eat and a coffee to find the courage to start mounting. Now it begins. Let's go. I always forget that this camera has a face tracking thing, so I can just be talking and it tracks my movement. Hi.
How's it going?
Good. You?
Yeah, good.
I'm Paris, by the way.
I'm Bia. Nice to meet you. Yeah, we chatted. Yeah,
So
I know. Okay, let's talk about setup. This can be a very stressful time, so if you are feeling stressed, just breathe. I think it really helps when you plan your table a little bit in advance, but it can be very tricky because tables are not sometimes really the measures that they gave you and all of that, so keep that in mind, but always try to figure out your table at home, especially if it is one of your first conventions. I have a few hours today. The setup started at noon, I believe, and we have until 8 p.m. to set everything up, so you kind of have the time. If it doesn't go well the first try, you always have the second try, so it should be fine. I'm going to start mounting and I'll catch up with you in a little bit. Still, in terms of international conventions and all of that, I think it really helps to do local ones first, even though if your country doesn't have a lot of them, try to do small markets first, then go to conventions. Not only it gets easier because you get used to dealing with customers, to talking to people, to even packing your orders, dealing with rush hours and all of that from smaller to bigger. It's really helpful, but also again, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's helpful to see what products might work or not in terms of like in-person events. Some products, as I said, work really well online, others only in markets because people like to touch in the objects and feel them, and seeing them in real life, it might be a little bit different than to see them in person, so they work a little bit better in person than online. And this in a smaller scale, it's so helpful because the investment is lower, the cost of the materials is going to be lower and all of that. And only after you having these experiences is good to start to think about international cons. Don't do it like me. The first con that I did was international. It was in Sevilla and it was a flop. It was so bad. And that traumatized me. And then the second con that I did, I could have sold a little bit better, but I was so traumatized from the first one that I didn't do enough products. So yeah, first try out local ones closer to you, and then start to branch out as you start to learn what works and what not for you. See, tape and scissors are always a need. I like to mount everything, especially the grades below, and then put them up because it just makes it so much easier. I immediately use these things to put them on the table so that it doesn't fall. Perfect. This is how it looks so far. Really important to talk about profits and all of that, and how important it is to evaluate everything. A lot of people that are starting conventions don't know how expensive it can be. Normally with international travel, accommodation and the booths or the tables in the artist alley, I spend at least maybe 700 euros per con, sometimes more. It depends on the price of the tables. In Belgium, in the Netherlands, normally tables are a little bit more expensive, but it really depends on the cons. So even before that, I think it's important to start planning maybe a year in advance, and it's important to evaluate really very seriously your financial condition. I don't think it's worth to get the risk of not getting your money back or not getting your profits. Remember that you don't only cover the table, all the materials that you sold, all the products that you sold, you are not going to have profits over those until you get your table money back. And then when you start to have profit, after having your table money back, you still have to pay for all those materials and all those products you just sold to pay for your money back. So as you're going to see from this video, it doesn't go always as planned for me. MCM was always a safe con, and sometimes it doesn't happen that way, so we can't really predict how a con is going to go. Please take all of this in consideration and know that doing a convention comes with a lot of costs. Plan ahead, think about what you want to do. It is day one. I'm trying to get over my fear of talking in public, so be proud of me. But yeah, I came a bit earlier today. It's now 10:40. I still haven't made any sales, and it looks like this edition is going to be a little bit slower than previous ones. I always try to have all my expenses paid in the first half of the day, but sometimes that doesn't happen. And to talk about payments, so I always bring my little money pouch. I always try to bring at least 50 euros or any currency, like coins and notes and stuff like that. And I have a card machine. I actually have one for the UK and another one for the EU, so that I can receive in different currencies. I use my POS and it's really, really nice. I'm going to leave a link in the description. It's an affiliate link. I'm not sponsored or anything. I already tried some up as well, and I really prefer the my POS system. Let's go on with the day. Let's sell some things, hopefully, and I'll keep you posted how it goes. I think it really depends on the goals and the expectations you have for certain conventions and doing events. It can be just your goal to, promote the work and do sales afterwards. As I said throughout all of this video, it's always going to be a different experience for you and for other people. So only after you try a certain convention, it's where you find out if it's worth it for you or not. Some conventions are not accessible, so even if I make a little bit more money, it's not worth it for me to come back from all the struggles that I have to reach it. I hope that makes sense. This is going super, super quiet. It's now 3:30 and I just made the same that I had made last May at around 1 p.m. So not great. I still haven't covered all the expenses, so that's not always a good thing. Normally around lunchtime I already covered all the expenses, so it's been like a really quiet edition, I think. Important to also talk about expectations when it comes to cons and all of that, not only because other people talk about it and they do super well and stuff. So that's why it's important, I think, to come super well rested, so that anxiety and all other things are not as strong, and also to try to motivate yourself on the week before or the weeks beforehand to just be a little bit more positive regarding everything and just see it as an experience. Otherwise, if it goes wrong, it can be very demotivating. I think there's so many things that can make the difference between a good con and a bad con in terms of numbers that you make. It can be placement, it can be your booth, it can be so many things. It can be just tickets not selling, just so many things. The way I would display things before just made them not sell, and now that I display them differently, they sell a lot better. It can be placement and all of that. So there's a lot of things to take in consideration when evaluating something. I think I have all of them, yeah, from small to 2XL. Can I get 2XL? Yeah. You want to check the size? Yep. It was the purple one, right? Yeah. Do you want to pay with card or cash? Card? As I was saying, it can depend on so many things. Even two cons are not the same. Doing the same, like different editions of the same con is not going to be the same. And even doing different cons, it's also not going to be the same, especially comparing to yourself or comparing to others. So I think it's always important to have that in mind and not have too high expectations of how things might go and just enjoy it. Hi. Yes. Pay cash or cards?
I can pay cash.
Yeah. Here's your change. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye bye. Hi. Yeah.
I've seen you on YouTube.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm filming over here. If you want to say hi. Sorry if I'm starting to sound a little bit more robotic, but I'm getting super tired. Want to pay cash or cards? Yeah. I have to insert. Wait. Yeah, you can take out the card. Thank you. I don't need a receipt. Thank you. Hi. Yeah.
You did the entirety of the stumble into.
Do you want to pay card or cash? Card. Perfect. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, sorry for the weird angle, but it's actually now the end of Saturday. It's now almost 10. I've been going early and arriving super late, so I'm super tired, and that's why I mostly didn't film today. But to be honest, I'm kind of happy and sad that I filmed this video on this con. Sad because it hasn't been the MCM that I know and learned to love, and I still have so much fun in here, and it's always so nice. Everyone is so nice, and a lot of you actually came and say hi, which I really appreciated, even though I'm a little bit awkward sometimes, so I'm sorry about that. But I would love to have this be like a super interesting video and film a little bit more, but I'm in a really bad placement, and I've been very unlucky with my placement in MCM. May was also not great. For the amount of people that have been crossing by, I kind of doing okay. It has been so slow and so bad. I even took out the iPad yesterday and today, so when you took out the iPad or have time to read, it's because the con is not the greatest. Year before this, last October, I was in the Artist Alley and it was amazing. It was one of the best cons that I ever did. It was so nice. And I've been talking to some friends that are over there, and it has been going amazingly, which I'm so happy, but I'm like on this corner where nothing is going on. And it's kind of sad just to think better I could be doing. But I'm also happy that I'm filming this video this time, just to prove how things can fluctuate even within the same conventions. We never know where our placement is, because most of the times, or all the times, we can't really choose our placement. Like, there's so many things that can change and go wrong or right, and that can affect the overall of the convention. But I still wanted to share the experience, and I hope this video has been helpful so far. I also wanted to mention that all the materials that I use for my booth, my display, everything I'm going to leave in the description if you want to check that out. Maybe you saw some things, how I display things, and you would like to do the same. So, yeah. Done. Let's mount everything. I hope this was a helpful video. If you have more questions about conventions, please leave them in the comments so that I can do another video. And yeah, see you on the next convention vlog. Bye.